22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
Uh-huh.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are listening to the Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday, 6 to 8 on intermixradio.com. Ha-ha. Welcome. Trying out a new look now. I just want everybody who y'all comment on everything else. So I always don't do the facial hair thing. Everybody's like, leave the facial hair. So this time I shaved the head and I left the facial hair. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think it looks like. Is this a good look, or I need to just shave it off like I normally do? Y'all let me know. Anyway.
I say leave it on for a bit.
All right, so that's one for leave it on. I got a couple of compliments the other day. So we trying this out now. This is a new thing we're going to try out. And as you can see, my shirts are getting bigger and bigger on me as I slim down a little bit. So this is like the total reinvented me. Yes. And by the way, I am A.J. Woodson, your host. Damon K. Jones, I believe, is en route. He's up at the African American Heritage Festival at the Kensico Dam. And he also went to an opening that we were supposed to go to, both of us, but I didn't make it. My man had a car wash opening of this hand wash car wash. They washed by hands. They did Damon's car. It took a little longer, but they did a damn good job. My man Johnny, I can't remember his last name right now, but shout out to Johnny. You'll see the pictures on blackwestchester.com. I'm working on the paper right now. Still have a few slots left. At least one full page, several quarter page, and one or two half page ads. If you advertise between now and Tuesday, send in your artwork and payment by Tuesday. You'll get a 20% discount off on your ad between now and end of day Tuesday. That don't mean call me Wednesday saying, yo, can I get that discount? No, Tuesday, the paper will be finished.
Do you do that
Wednesday.
all the time? Because then people are going to wait till last minute to advertise because they're going to get 20% off.
No, that's just today. That's just this issue.
Okay.
We're going into the anniversary issue. If you pre-order for your anniversary issue ad, you'll get 20% off. If you take ad this week, that's this week for the August issue, you get 20% off. For the July issue, that will be out Friday. But by what did I say? Tuesday end of day?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday end of day. That means the rest of today, all day Monday, all day Tuesday, till the end of day. Of course, we got the lovely Lorraine Lopez in the place to be.
Hey.
Dr. Robert Baskerville, a.k.a. Brooklyn Bob, a.k.a. Biff Basketball, is not here today. He
a.k.a. the professor.
The professor, yeah. Talking about the professor, he's a teacher. He's a professor at Bronx Community College, and classes start tomorrow. So he's home preparing his syllabus and all that good stuff. So he'll be properly prepared for tomorrow. So shout out to him. Like I said, Damon K. Jones is on the way. We're supposed to have Congressman Eliot Engel coming today. They have an election
Tuesday.
This Tuesday is election day, the primary, the Democratic primary for the congressional race.
And who's in the primary?
The Democratic primary is the incumbent, Eliot Engel. Challenger, Jonathan Lewis, who looks like he's at least spending a lot of money on advertising. He might give Eliot a run for his money. And we have the underdog, Derek Sin Lawrence, who's no give up in him. He's out there grinding. He got the signs out there. He took the ads out. He's doing what he can do. He's trying to hang with the big boys and rock in this election, in this Democratic race. So
it's a three-way.
It's a three-way. It could be somebody else. As far as I know, there's only three. There might be somebody I never heard of that, is challenging too. So that's always possible. But at least I know them three. And if he's here, makes it. I know he had other appearances. You'll get a chance to see what he's about if you didn't know. And you could go back previously and see when Derek Sin Lawrence was on the show and see what he was talking about. You do that between now and Tuesday, you'll get a chance to see what the candidates look like. Jonathan Lewis never responded to our request to have him on the show, so I can't give you anything on him. Thank you, Louise. She said, I like it, hair on the face.
All right, Louise. That's 2 points.
Latif Khalil, what's up, Black Westchester? Damon Jones. Okay. He's listening. He said, I'll be leaving soon. Got a lot of shit to say. Okay.
Cool.
So, Damon.
Snap.
So once
it's
again,
over.
I'm not sure what's on his mind and what he's
He gonna come in here all pissed off.
Shout to my cousin George Cole. What's going on, cousin? Ain't talked to you in a while. We got to get up. Shout to Barry Tillery. What's going on? Yo, Barry, thank you for posting. Barry's the one that, if y'all saw, he went to the Yo MTV Raps 30th anniversary, and they started playing Strong Island, and he took his phone out and recorded it and posted it on me and B Love's page. Shout out to my partner Ron B Love, and I appreciate that. Everybody was like, "Yo, word!" So that was a good look. Thank you, Barry. Appreciate that. So what happened? Oh, so Friday we all went to this mix and mingle with Eliot Engel. On 28 East 1st Street. It was a little, they had a press conference, several law enforcement organizations.
Quite a few law enforcement associations.
Right, endorsed Eliot Engel. I know it was NOLA, National Organization of Latino Officers, the Westchester Hispanic Democrats, Blacks in Law Enforcement of America, Westchester Corrections Association. There was another Latino organization. I think the Westchester Hispanic Law Enforcement Association. And several.
The National Alliance of Latino Officers.
National Alliance. Yes, that's what I did say NOLA, yeah. I said that one first. And there was a couple more, and they all stated why. And I think the Westchester Black Political Caucus Conference and LIPAN, the Lower Hudson Valley Progressive Action Network. I think they had already given their endorsement, but Tasha Young was there for them too, I believe. So anyway, we went to that. It was pretty cool. Shout out to Mangoville on 4th Avenue provided the food. It was good. It was a nice little get together. Eliot got to mingle with the community, those who came. Shout out to Andre Wallace, Councilman Andre Wallace. He hosted it. Also, shout to Councilman Andre Wallace. I don't know if I announced it. I did make the announcement that he won his case after 2 years of not being paid for the work that he completed in 2014, being accused of not paying prevailing wages, going through all kinds of counter claims and all that. He won. The judge said the city had to pay him by a certain time. Give him a shout out because the total amount due was with interest and everything was $343,000 or something like that. But he settled for less, $270. That's minus a lot of the interest. To give because ultimately that money comes from the taxpayers. So he wanted to, you know what I'm saying? It's not the taxpayers' fault that he didn't get his check for 2 years, so he didn't want to tax them any further, and he settled for $270. But it's a good. I just want to congratulate his company for finally, getting paid, and hopefully that chapter that we've been going through for which is like a ongoing soap opera. Hopefully that's over, and that removes one of the things that was
lawsuits.
One of the lawsuits and one of the frictions between council members and the mayor. There's more, but at least that's one thing removed that they can't fight over. Shout to Frank Trulio Jr. Uncle Frank is in the house. What's good? Yes, Atif. Khalil, I thought I was going to see you there. He said I missed that. The mix and mingle with Eliot Engel. I was expecting to see you there, my brother. Shout to Atif. He wrote a piece on tainted crack in Mount Vernon. We posted it on blackwestchester.com, and it got over 1,600 hits in 45 minutes, and the site crashed for about an hour. So shout to him. And that article will also be in the news section of the July issue of the newspaper. Shout to a couple of Shane Focus, the photographer. Shout to Donna Rosa. I don't know. I got to look up the name. Montrose. We got a new writer. She's from. She's an American journalist that lives in London, and she wrote an article. Very catchy title. We're America, bitch. The social ideology of Donald J. Trump, and you can imagine what that article's about. That's definitely a good one. Hector Santiago got a piece about himself coming in on the Latino empowerment page. Eddie Ortiz wrote a nice piece about the origin and repercussions of the zero tolerance of Trump's zero tolerance policy. That's on the Latino empowerment page, and we're dealing with the whole immigration issue. Yo, Lorraine, so I know you have an opinion, and while we got this time, was just me and you before everybody comes. What is your take on the whole immigration thing, the whole separating kids from their parents, even though Trump vowed that it won't happen going forward, but the 2,000 children who have already been separated from their parents, and there's no plans of reconciliation at this point, as far as I know.
Well,
shout to Charlie Khalil, too.
Hi, Charlie. Do you know, out of those 2,000, there's like about 1,400 kids that they have lost track of. They have no idea where these kids are at.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they lost track of about 1,400 kids.
I know a lot of them are. I don't know how many is a lot, but I know there's several of them being housed in Westchester.
There's some in Lake and Watts. There's some at Children's Village.
Yeah, and there's 2 other spots that children are being held. Shout to Dawn C. Wright. Good evening, AJ. Hello, Damon K. Jones. Shout to Larry Walker from the ATL. Shout out, my man. Don Figure, my man from Mount Vernon. He lives in, I'm not sure what state he's in right now, but he's on the tune-in. He's on the check-in. Yeah, but that whole thing is just like, I was watching Meet the Press for last week.
Well, before you go on with that, just a big shout out to Charlie Khalil who's listening, because him and Hector Santiago got together today.
Yes.
And they, out of over 200,000 people in the city of Yonkers, I mean, these are the only 2 that got together and decided to, like, hey, let's help these kids out, and they did a nice,
a rally for donations, collecting donations for the children that have been displaced or separated or have whatever word, and they're being housed in Westchester. They don't know where their mother is. Yeah. They can't be in a comfortable situation and probably don't trust anybody around them. And this will not erase the situation of what happened to him, but
it'll give them a little bit of comfort knowing that they're not alone. I mean, they was collecting teddy bears, dolls, crayons, things like that, so that the kids can feel a little bit comfortable and feel like a little bit of security, and just know that ain't nobody's gonna hurt them. They're gonna be okay, and eventually they're gonna go home with mom or dad.
Atif Khalil said, Trump effed up big time. Children's Village and some foster care programs in Harlem took close to 500 kids from Texas. They traveled over 2,230 miles from the border on a freaking bus. This is all child abuse. What he did is one thing, but how he did it is unexplainable.
And another thing, the airlines.
Yes.
The airlines, they all wrote a letter to the White House, and they told the president, do not put these kids on our airlines anymore. We refuse to be part of transporting them and separating them from the parents. So, in other words, even if he would have, if he would not have signed the executive order, there was going to be nobody to transport them. They would have had to stay right there in the border.
Well, it's a sad thing. According to the chief, some of them came by bus, had to ride all that hours on a bus. I can't even imagine how long a bus ride would be. That's ridiculous. Oh, now the other part is, watching Meet the Press, I see that their party line, this is before he signed the executive order, was if an American gets arrested, does a crime and gets arrested, they're separated from their children. And the problem with that statement, while it sounds good in theory, is that we're talking about people who came to this country seeking political asylum. That's not a crime.
It's not illegal.
They didn't cross the border illegally. They didn't try to sneak in the country. They're seeking asylum, and these are the individuals who are being separated from their children, or their children are being separated from them. So to compare that with someone who's committing murder or any crime is a very that's a punk move on the Republican Party. I'm sorry. And I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, so I can speak out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not speaking from a Democratic point of view. Luis said he also violated the Geneva Convention.
Now, Joshua says, what happens to American children when American parents break the law and put their children in situations? Well,
that's what we just said.
There is something in place for them. There's either foster care, there's either the family members, and there's several routes that people go with them, but that's not the issue. The issue is that these parents are not breaking the law. They're seeking asylum. There's nothing illegal about that. You're comparing apples to oranges with that.
And he's saying they crossed the border illegally.
We're
not talking about, so we're not going to keep arguing that. We're not talking about people that illegally are sneaking in the country. We're talking about people seeking asylum. They're being stopped at the border. Their children are being taken from them. They're being placed one place. Their children is being placed thousands of miles somewhere else in a city that they never been to. And these came to this. This is their first time to the country.
And some people don't get it. But even the Republican Congress, as idiots as they are, they get it.
Well, there was a Republican, I can't remember his name, and he was on Meet the Press, and he said he was an immigrant. He said his parents came here. He said he was separated, but he went to a family member who actually was undocumented until they sorted the thing out with his mom. You know what I mean? And then they were reunited. He said the problem between now and then, Trump has turned that power over from the organization that was doing it, and I can't think of the name, over to ICE. So now if there's a relative, but they're undocumented, they're not going to ICE to pick up their kid, to pick up their relative, because then they're being deported too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like these kids have nowhere to go. So, and those people get due process before their kids are taken.
Yeah, it's got one thing that has nothing to do with the other. Absolutely nothing to do with the other. What this man was doing was he took a old Walmart, converted it into a holding cell, a giant holding cell with these kids. I mean, they put cages in there. They had them sleeping on the floor, and they put numbers on their chest and on their arms. I mean, geez, come on now.
Yeah, they tried their best.
I mean, that's Nazi stuff.
She spoke about that too. She said that's disrespect to all the people that were murdered in the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Compare, no. She's saying for you to say that disrespect the people who lost people in the Holocaust, that you disrespect them by saying it's like concentration camps.
Oh, come on now. Come on now. I mean, what do you call it? It's the same thing with another name. Should I give it another name? Give me a name to call it.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
Absolutely. So this is definitely not going well for Trump. So while he wanted, the second thing he tried to do before the executive order was to blame the Democrats. It was their laws and what they passed that caused this. It was actually Trump's policy. Meet the Press had this thing. There were like 6 or 7 statements he made that Friday, and all of them were totally false. And he's like, yo, what do? You don't want to call the president a liar, but what do you do when everything he says is provably not true? You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, he's like, everything he said, when they said the Mueller investigation, something about the thing, it was based on the Hillary, the Comey investigation was based on the Hillary thing. He said whatever that ruling was, it vindicated him. It had nothing to do with him. It was about Hillary's emails. It wasn't about him. So there's no vindication of him. And then he blamed. I forgot what all 7 was, but they just all 7 things was just so provably false.
Everything he says is false.
And again, bringing it back home, that's what we're dealing with in the Thomas administration. Some of the things that he says, some things are exaggerations. Some of the things that they're saying are just so provably false.
There are other administrations very close by that are going through the same thing. It's just people haven't woken up like they have in Mount Vernon.
Like we wrote something about Spezio and on blackwestchester.com.
Yeah.
Spezio contacted me via email, or I think I sent it to him. He contacted me back saying that it was a false story, and he gave me evidence. He told me about Andre Wallace not paying prevailing wages, and I won't write about it. So I said, give me the proof, and I will definitely write about it. So he kept dancing around that one. Then, while looking up any case against Andre, I found a case where 35 to 50 Latino employees were all suing him for exactly the same thing he was accusing Andre of. Then
Was suing who, Joe?
Yes, and he said that was fake news. Like, there was a court document, and for this, and it was the insurance, and it has to do with the case he just lost for $800,000 or whatever. He's been saying this was false. Like, he's making accusations. The Department of Labor proved that Andre hadn't broken any laws. Whatever other agency, Homeland Security and all of them, approved the work that Andre did. So you can't say it was faulty work or anything like that. All the things they said, but then the very thing happened to him. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, not to make him, he's just as a good example, just like the Trump administration, and he is a strong Trump supporter. Yeah. The things that are being said are so provably false. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like, and it is funny. It's like,
you look at the lie. It's right in your face, and he stands there and he tells you with a straight face, "Hey,
right." It's like
these are the facts.
It's like telling you that the moon is red, and you're like, "No, the moon's not red." No. I'm telling you, and you don't want to hear the truth. The moon is red. Then you take pictures of the moon and you post it, and you be like, "Fake news." Basically, that's what it is. And he keeps telling you the moon is red. The sad thing is, after a while, people be like, yo, maybe it is red. You know what I'm saying? Because he's saying so much. So people are starting to think, even though they see it's yellow, or whatever color it is, they thinking, oh, man, maybe it is red. Maybe he's right. Because you just keep saying it over and over and over until people start to think it might be true. It doesn't have to be true. You just have to repeat it over and over and over. And then when they start to prove what is wrong, you have your next accusation ready, just shooting it out to just switch the conversation real quick. And then when they try to, you just throw another accusation out. And you always have the next, and it doesn't matter if any of this is true. You just keep the accusations going and keep the accusations going, and it keeps the matter off of what's really going on.
Like Memorial Field?
Memorial
Field, tennis court?
Memorial Field, the tennis courts. I actually want to have Keeler Tennis on the show. They had wrote a letter that I'm going to post in the paper, and it states that they did have a deal. I'm going to ask them to see the paper, and it states that they pay 23,000 or whatever it is, 23, I think, thousand a month for rent. Now, if they've been there 2.5 years, the mayor says they owe over $500,000.
So that's a lot of money.
But listen, 23,000. How many times does 23,000 go into 500,000? A lot more than 3. They would have to be there.
What, 20?
They would have to be. They would have to have been there over 20 years and never paid rent. So when you throw those figures out and keep throwing them out, and there's no way the math adds up. You know what I'm saying? Like the math just doesn't add up. It's not that we don't want to believe the math. You make it hard to believe you when you keep saying stuff like this. That doesn't add up. There's people that want to believe you, and some of them are saying, "Yo, but 2,300, 500,000. They've been there 3 years. Wait, hold up. That doesn't compute." Couple of people, Atif Khalil said it doesn't make sense. I agree with you on most, but the Dems handled this civil, unlike Trump, who is handling it criminally. And Louise said, we have resources to take people coming in. Atif, they just don't spend the money on that. I'll let y'all talk about that amongst yourselves. Joanne, shout to Joanne. Shout to Joanne. She always tunes into the show. She has a show on here. They used to come on after us. They got the craziest conversations, yo. You got the craziest conversations, some real adult conversations. They might be talking about anything on their show. It was great. Their show might as well be called Real Talk. We got Jeff Ford, my homie from Strong Island. What's up, fam? So yeah, anything else that we didn't cover on the immigration thing, on the separation thing? Anything else that we didn't cover on the zero tolerance?
No, we just, from what I understand, there was like 500 kids already been reunited. I don't know what the process is. Nobody seems to know what the process is. I know that Trump was telling the Congress he wanted immigration reform, and then the day after he signed the executive bill, the executive order, he decided he tweeted Congress to don't bother with immigration reform, wait till after the November elections because we got to win.
So Damon sent me a flyer. I guess they're getting ready to start the
4th of July.
The William L. Carter Summer Jazz Fest series
Wow.
at Yosemite Park, White Plains. And they're on July 5th, Thursday, July 5th. It's every Thursday night. They're going to have Kindred, the Family Soul. Shout out to Russell Johnson. I see his name on here as one of the contacts. And I guess he's one of the promoters of it. Shout out to my man Stephen Lewis from what's the group that came here from Greenberg? Secret Lover. I can't
Atlantic Star?
Yes, Stephen from Atlantic Star. I see him up there a lot doing the sound and stuff. So he has something to do with the Summer Jazz Series. And R.I.P. to William L. Carter. Great man. Did a lot of stuff for the Theodore D. Young Community Center. A lot of stuff with the youth. I got to meet him when Damon was asked to speak at the UN United Nations Association. After your Councilman Yana Edwards, because it was about criminal justice, and he was invited to speak and said, well, I know somebody who knows more about it than me, and he put Damon's name on the list, and we've been invited to speak every month, every year after that. I just went to take pictures. They start asking me what I thought, and next thing I know, I've been personally invited for every year. I missed the last one. There's people all over the county dealing with the whole prison, the school to prison pipeline, for the youth and criminal justice and the whole criminal justice system in Westchester. But I met him there at the first one that I went to, got to know him, met him at the African American Men of Westchester brunch that I went with then Councilman Richard Thomas. Very cool dude. He's definitely missed. He's one of them people in the community though. It was a loss to the community. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, And when we get a loss like that, it's time for the next generation to pick up the slack. You know what I'm saying? We're losing a lot of our elders, and you know what I'm saying. It's time for the next generation. And I ain't exactly a youngster no more either. We gotta inspire. We gotta mold the youth to take over next. So anyway, shout out to William L. Clark. The Carter the Summer Jazz Series is named after him. It's every Thursday at Yosemite Park, and on Thursday, July 5th, Kendrick, the Family Soul, will be performing, and that is going to be an outstanding show. That group gets down. If you haven't seen them, you need to go check it. It's free. You know what I'm saying? In the park, Jazz in the Park every Thursday in Greenberg. So, Michael Bullock just checked in. What's going on, sir? What else happened? So we talked about Andre. We talked about Engel. Again, the Democratic primary is this Tuesday. I don't know why they moved it from September to June, but a lot of people don't know that there is a Democratic primary this Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Because, June is not like just June. You know what I'm saying? And
prime voters do.
Well, but even then, your kids get out of school and you start going on vacations and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then you find out that's the date. You've already scheduled your, going out of town for other people's graduations or for vacation or whatever. So June is not actually the most opportune time. People, want to get away a little bit, and some people will be gone. So it's very important because it will probably be a low turnout. So I guess anybody can win. You know what I'm saying? In a low turnout. So anyway, Bronx shooting. I'm gonna need more. What you were talking about? That was in the Bronx, right?
Yeah.
Junior.
What about him?
I said, what are we gonna talk about? And Atif said, what about the Bronx shooting? I know you know more about that.
This is horrible. This is Lisandro Guzman Feliz, also known as Junior. I'm sure many people have seen the hashtag already, Justice for Junior. A 15-year-old young kid, it was a mistaken identity situation, was chased into a bodega that he grew up in. They knew him since he was a little kid. This was a good kid. He was in type of like the Rangers programs that they have for the police departments for kids that are from the age of, I think, like 10 to 18 years old, that they go in as what's the word? Well, let's just say Rangers, something to the equivalent of Rangers. He was in that program. His goal in life was to become a detective. That's all he wanted to do. I mean, he knew all the officers in the precinct, the people in the precinct, the officers in the precinct knew him, and they took this situation very personally because he basically was one of theirs. And basically what happened was there was a video that was shown out, a video with a young girl having intercourse with some young men, and they thought that he looked exactly like the guy that was in the video. The girl's father got upset, got his gang, the Trinidadios, which is a Dominican gang, and had them find this kid, chase him. They thought it was him. They got the wrong kid. This kid was actually going to the store for $5 to buy his friend something to eat because his friend was hungry. So he borrowed $5 from his neighbor to go get his friend something to eat. And as he was walking to the store, he started getting chased by these kids, by these guys, 5 grown men. And he jumped behind the counter to try to get some help. And I guess the bodegueros there, the people that own the grocery store, basically told him, not in here, not in the store, whatever the case may be. And they kind of shooed them away out of the store and let this kid get dragged, fighting for his life, get dragged out of the bodega. And they basically turned their back on this kid and let him get dragged out into the street. And then they chopped him up with a machete. They stabbed him several times. Several people stabbed him. It was one of the most gruesomest and most violent things that I've seen. I won't even post it in Latino Empowerment. It's all over the internet if somebody wants to see it. And basically, they've been looking for these 5 piece of shits. I was gonna say cowards, but I think they're more than that. That did this to this kid, and today, so the update is that 5 people, the 5 guys that they were looking for, have been arrested today, and that's basically it. And then they would, the funeral's gonna, the wake is gonna happen soon, and the community got together and they rallied outside the bodega, and they actually made the guy shut down the store. And according to him, he told the news, "Oh, they threatened us if we did anything, but they could at least call the cops. They could at least lock the door and let this kid come in." And after this kid got all chopped up, he ended up falling right back into the bodega. Nobody picked him up. Nobody did anything. The kid ended up crossing the street by himself, staggering across the street, crashed into a work area that they had some panels put up, crashed into that, went around it. He crashed in, fell, went around it, and died right in front of St. Barnabas Hospital.
In front of the hospital?
Right in front of the hospital, he died.
Well, I'm glad to hear, as I cover many homicides and senseless street violence of a lot of times the parents for years are seeking justice. No one is arrested. They can't get no information about the homicides or how the investigation is going. And we had a couple of those in Mount Vernon, like Naz Duncan is still fighting for justice for her son. That's why it's Justice for Junior. His name is Junior too.
Justice for Junior.
The hashtag Justice for Junior was one that she used as well.
Oh,
I knew it was something else that I heard.
You said that.
Yeah. And several other people, the Dennises, Skeet Dennis, and a couple other in Mount Vernon. So, I know from my interactions with Naz Duncan, there's a pain that a parent has where they don't have a chance to mourn because they're still fighting for justice. Years later, and she's still having a hard time of it. And the sad thing about that, you've heard us talk about it before, she was the one who consoled all the other mothers.
That's so sad.
When it happened to them, and now she's sitting in that seat. You understand what I'm saying? And the sad thing is, there have been some people that have been there for her, but for the long run, she's by herself. Like, the people are not coming to her as much as she used to come to them.
Like, what happened?
And she needs it. Like, she's still like it happened today or yesterday on the anniversary, like 2 or 3 year anniversary that just passed recently. She was torn up. Like, she's torn up. You know what I mean? So I say that to say, while the family is still dealing with the loss, the one thing they won't have to deal with is the seeking of justice and of the not knowing if these people who did it and will they get caught and how the investigation is going. But
they're still gonna have to
stand
5 trials, unless they do the trials. Well, I mean, they're
still gonna have to go trial. But these people don't even.
And that's a process,
right? And these people ain't even get to that. Like, they're not even getting to the trial part.
Not there yet.
They don't even know. Some of these investigations are just sitting on some detective's desk. There's no suspects. There's no information for the family. There's nothing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't want to belittle what this family is feeling, but I'm saying at least from what I've seen other people go through, they won't have that to deal with. You know what I'm saying? And that I'm happy about. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know if everybody understand what I'm saying, but, yeah. But, yeah, it's crazy out there.
I understand what you meant. I mean, I could relate to her in some part when you said that she was the one that used to console everyone, and now basically she's the one getting being consoled. When I used to work as a community organizer, I used to console a lot of parents and a lot of family members until 2 of my brothers were viciously murdered.
And I'm sorry that I don't always speak on that. I sometimes don't know. I'm glad I don't know. Some people are like, oh man, I know how you feel. I don't. I honestly can't. And anybody who hasn't been through it, they don't know how you feel. And if they tell you, they full of shit. I mean,
my little brother, I found him in an alley, shot 5 times in the back and once in the heart, and he took his last breath just looking at me. And that I will never ever get over.
No
Actually,
doubt.
I won't get over none of them, both of them.
Hector Santiago said, Lorraine, thank you for coming through today and showing your support. Highly appreciated and respected.
Oh, Hector, thank you. Charlie was on a little while ago. We discussed it. So rewind. Because we were talking about you a little bit earlier.
Yeah, again, so you can hear me
Yeah,
now that
yeah.
you are listening, I personally want to commend you for the work you do in the community.
Yep.
While I can't say nobody in Yonkers is doing that because I don't know. But all I know is what I saw today. You were out there doing what not too many other people are doing. And it takes that. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Just personally, I appreciate that.
You could be doing anything else.
You could have been doing anything else. You could have been chilling. You could have been doing what everybody else is doing, whatever. But, you were out there today collecting stuff for these kids, and you care. And I think y'all said the first wave of stuff is going to Children's Village, I think you said on the Facebook Live video you had. A round of applause to you and to Charlie.
Yay.
For the work you did and for what you're doing.
That's right. Amazing.
And what you continue to do for your community. I know I met Hector at the Riverfront Library at a police community forum, probably in like 2014.
Wow.
And, I saw this kid.
He was much younger then, too.
Right. And I saw this kid
there.
who was telling him he used to be in the streets and all that. And then he was getting ready to do this thing that became Stop and Shake. You know what I'm saying? And the idea of that.
International.
You know what I'm saying? And the idea of that. And in there you had, you had Gardner, the commissioner, the police commissioner. You had other people from communities like Kenneth Chamberlain and Damon were on the panel. And a couple other people from other places were on the panel. We was having a conversation. The conversation in Yonkers about police community, building better police community relations. Sean Patterson Howard was there. And that's when I first, Sean got up and she brought attention to Hector and told him to stand up and tell everybody what he does. And from that day, I have been impressed by Hector. I've had him on the show a few times. I've shown up when he tried to do the initiative in Mount Vernon, the Stop and Shake, and I tried to support it as much as I could. Made sure that he knew some of the other people in the community that he needed to know. And, I just want to applaud him for what he's doing, that's all.
Yes.
You were the first to vote.
To write
about what I was doing. Love is love always. Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, Black Westchester.
That's what we do. We cover those stories that nobody else is covering. That's why we, as we celebrate our 4-year anniversary soon, that's what it's been about. Changing the narrative and giving light to people like you in the community there to do what you do. I wish I could write about you in every issue. You know what I'm saying? There's just so much stuff going on in the county. But, and then, the walk to Albany, like, come on, like, for real? That was incredible. You know what I'm saying? It's incredible.
For mental health.
For mental health, to bring attention and awareness for that. That was incredible. You know what I'm saying? This is a young cat. You know what I'm saying? And I'm always appreciative of the youngsters that are out there doing it, because those are the future leaders. And a lot of people your age, they're not thinking about that kind of stuff. That's the farthest thing. I wasn't thinking about that kind of stuff when I was your age. That was the farthest thing. Community stuff that you're doing was the farthest thing from my mind when I was your age. You know what I'm saying? So I applaud you.
And he's not alone. He brought in a sidekick. He's got his significant other, too, community organizing with him.
Yes, I seen.
Isn't she beautiful?
Very, very, very good looking.
Yeah. That's the first thing I said. That was like, Hector, AJ, look at how pretty she is.
I saw, Ben from Yonkers Voice was interviewing Lorraine, and I saw him walk up to her and give her a kiss. And,
yeah.
We saw you, brother. We saw you, my man. I was like, oh, ain't that cute? Yeah, so that's good. Shout out to Gail Baxter. She's checking out the show. Who else? Somebody, a God GMT says, yes, what I want to point out is the police are not patrolling the streets. They are busy writing tickets. We have to start policing our own streets. I agree. How you let someone get killed brutally like that. Murder is becoming too frequent in this country. I agree. Shout out to Wilfred Dennis. I just mentioned his brother. He's another one like Nas who lost a relative. It was his brother Skeet. He's been fighting for. We started this thing, Mount Vernon Family for Justice, and he was one of him and his sister Linda were definitely one of the ones with Nas and several other parents who were all family members who had lost a loved one to senseless street violence. So he just tuned in. I just want to shout him out because I was talking about his brother earlier. One of those we haven't forgot. You know what I'm saying? And we also try to keep those names out there of those. And that's why I keep fighting for Kenneth Chamberlain. Like, I want the people to know he hasn't forgot. We haven't forgot. You know what I mean? So just because it's not in the court right now, we have not forgot. And we're not going to forget, and we're going to keep fighting for justice. And we're going to stand with all of those family members.
That's right. Because that's what you do.
Excuse me. No, I do not, to that question.
Yes, what do you mean? That wasn't a question. That was a fact.
No, a question in the...
Oh.
Yes. Oh.
Oh, my question to you.
Yeah. Oh. Wilfred Dennis says police officers are not too much in Mount Vernon. I'm not sure how he meant that, but they're not doing the investigations. A lot of people are not happy with the investigation. We had a former homicide detective, and at one point, former honorary deputy commissioner Anthony Mitchell on the show, talking about how the department is failing in investigating homicides, and he went into great detail. You can look up a previous show, Wilfred Dennis said, "Thank you for the shout out for my brother. I appreciate it very much." Nah, that's what we got to do, man. Because once they're named, once their situation, their death leaves the news cycle, it's gone. So, I have a lot of friends at Low HUD and a lot of friends now at News 12, and no disrespect to any of them, but they have to do. It's kind of like if it leads, it bleeds. If it bleeds, it leads. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's the rule. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it bleeds, look at the first stories on some of the news when you see it. If it bleeds, it leads. That's basically, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they're covering a press conference and there's a murder somewhere, they're leaving that press conference and they're going to that murder. Damon called News 12. Something great for the community was going on. I forgot where. And called News 12 and they said, we do not have a camera to send out. Called back 30 seconds later and said, someone got shot on 3rd and 3rd, such and such. Where? Oh, okay, we'll be right there. And he hung up the phone. Talked to the same person that didn't know they was talking to Damon twice.
Oh, wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So, again, not to put them on blast, just point them out. That's the news. That's what the news is about. That's why it's important for us to do the community independent media and all the other people out there who are do that independent community journalism. They're very valid. Like Talk of the Sound, my man in New Rochelle, he is definitely very important to that community. Sometimes Hezzy and them, and even Ben, they cover a lot of the street stuff, a lot of the intricate stuff that you won't see on News 12 and Low HUD in Yonkers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I know sometimes I get my heart way to go, but they play a vital role when doing those kind of stories. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to Judge Adrian Armstrong. I again publicly apologize. I did not get your piece on the legislation for raise the age in the June issue that's out right now. But I did put it in the July issue that's coming out on Friday. I made sure that I got it in there. So I just wanted to, again, I don't know if you heard me the last time, I apologize. No coverage on the African-American heritage on 5 p.m. on News 12. I mean, that's not the kind of thing they cover.
Really? At
Sometimes.
5 o'clock? Well, you know what? Everything changed since they moved away.
Well, not yet. Well, that as well. But, we have to stop being surprised by the lack of coverage to the Latino community, community events and African American community events, basically that's how it's always been. You understand what I'm saying? Until you have a Latino empowerment, a black Westchester, a Yonkers Voice, a Talk of the Sound. Even Westchester Rising covers certain things that in the communities that they have papers that you won't see on the major news in the communities. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to see the great things that the library is doing. You understand what I'm saying? In particular communities, you're not going to see the great street festivals and stuff like that unless there's a big star there. Or, you know what I'm saying? In some cities, the mayor is the star. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going to be there. That's why they're there. Shout out to, we was talking about Hector's event. I heard that Councilwoman Shanae Williams was there. So shout out for her coming there and representing at that event for getting donations for the children.
Oh, yeah, I had a good talk with her.
Yeah, so I want to, give credit for the people that's coming out, showing up.
Yeah, she was there. She was definitely there.
These are people that, she's, you got to look at things. She has the position already, and she's not running. So she didn't have to be there. You understand what I'm saying? There's people that want your vote coming up soon. No names. You figure that out for yourself that you might want to support. But they were visibly absent at events like today. You know what I mean? But they want your vote. You know what I'm saying? But they were visibly absent. The people that are not running, that don't have titles, that do this stuff without titles, maybe even lost a race and still do the work. You know what I'm saying? Those are the people that I want in office, the people that's doing it anyway.
I was talking to somebody that's running for office and that has a primary that is an incumbent, and I mentioned Southwest Yonkers, and they said, well, those people don't really vote out there, do they?
That's what they say about the south side of the black
and,
the minority amount.
It only takes if all those people don't vote, but one of them does come out and vote, it only takes one vote to win. So they shouldn't, ignore certain people in certain areas just because they don't think they vote, because at the end of the day, yes, they do. Yes, they do. That one vote you need might come from them.
Hey, you know what? Judge Adrian Armstrong, Mount Vernon City judge.
Yeah.
On election day, did they give you the votes and they give you the count?
The tallies.
Then, then there's absentees and stuff that come in later.
Yeah.
That night, he won by 8 votes.
I beat an incumbent by 13.
You know what I'm saying? And while we can't take credit for it, he was also on the show within like 10 days or 2 weeks before the election. It may have been 1 or 2 people that actually
That's what I'm
were
saying,
on the show that
Yeah.
actually may not have voted, might not have known who to vote for, and voted. And I mean, when the absentee came, I think it was closer to like 40 or something. But that night, when the numbers came in that night, the initial numbers, it was only 8 votes.
That's what Hillary did. Hillary got complacent, and you see what happened. See all this trouble she got us into now.
You know what? I want to say something.
Why?
While we wouldn't be in some of the situation that Trump has got us into,
we would have probably been saying, God, I wish it would have been Trump instead of her. If it would
we
have
might
been
have
her.
had
We would have had
some
issues.
we'd have had some issues that people might be complaining
Yeah.
about now, saying, you know what, Trump don't look so bad right now. And I'm not saying nothing bad about her, but I'm just saying we don't know.
People
that was
change.
we don't know that it would have been totally a better world
Yeah.
with her.
Yeah, but God darn it can't be any worse than it is now.
Well, don't say
well,
that.
yes, it can be, because every time I say that, son of a gun does something else.
That's how a lot of people feel in Mount Vernon. They said it couldn't get any worse than the people that did not feel Ernie Davis and felt he had to go. They said we can't do worse. And some of them people are saying, damn, Ernie Davis is looking good now. For those people, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, don't ever say it can't get worse, because it can always be worse. There's always a worse. You know what I'm saying? No matter how bad something's going on in your life, there's always somebody in a worse situation that your situation is actually a come up for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know how you're going to pay your rent. There's some people that wish they had that problem. They don't have a place to live. They wish trying to figure out how to pay a rent in the apartment that they have, that would actually be an improvement in their life right now. They're trying to find a bed in a shelter. You know what I'm saying? They wish they had that problem. You know what I'm saying? Because they know they got their roof over their head. So I'm just saying, everything could always be worse. You know, so how you look at it. Some people just look at it, everything bad. Everything's bad. They always, the glass is always half empty.
Mm-hmm.
It's always half, oh man, it's on half empty. Sometimes the glass is half full. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's how you look at it.
Yeah, but some people
but
enjoy being miserable.
Well, misery enjoys company. Absolutely. Absolutely. Louise, yes, I'm not surprised that if no coverage comes from the African American heritage, I would not be surprised. But the reason Damon is late is because he was there taking pictures and making some notes for us, and it will be on Black Westchester within the next 24 or 48 hours. So
there you go.
That's not the same as being on TV news or, you know what I'm saying?
But it's just as important.
But, you know, it's not low HUD, and we might not reach as many people, but they will get some coverage. I have a lot of respect for us. They gave us and the publisher of the county, the Westchester County Press. They gave it three of us. It was several other people too. They gave us they honored us for our work in covering the African American community in Westchester. You know what I'm saying? Excellence in media in the African American community or something like that. 2 years ago. So I was just looking at the plaque earlier today. Gail Baxter said, just back from Sarah Lawrence where congressional candidates debated. That's probably why Engel's not here just yet. It's important that the community stakeholders know the issues. Make sure to vote on Tuesday, June 26th, as the outcome will determine what happens next in our communities of color. Hashtag change is needed. Get out and vote in all capital letters. And then she wrote, please, with a bunch of S's and E's in it.
Change is needed. Hashtag change is needed.
Yes. You know, we got to be careful of that, too. Change is not always great. We need the right change. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. If we want the change, we got it.
Yeah, but we want better, though. We deserve better. Every count, Judge Adrian Armstrong said every vote counts. And being a guest on People Before Politics certainly helped me. Thank you for what you do.
Yay! Good for you, Mr. Armstrong.
Thank you very much. And he said something similar to me after, because I congratulated him. He said, well, you know, the absentee votes didn't come in yet. I was only up by 8. I mean, it could change. And he said, I'm thanking everybody. He said, if I hadn't been on your show, I could have been down by 8. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he said that to me personally when I saw him right after Election Day.
Just like Nick Spano, one time when he wrote for senator before Andrea took him out, he won by 18 votes, and he had 16 siblings in the family, and his mother and father, that was 18.
Wow. Yo, the election before Richard Thomas won, when Mayor Davis was trying to get back in office after Clinton was in office, was the incumbent. Mayor Davis won. Maureen Walker went to sleep up 200 votes, and woke up down 101 votes.
Wow.
So, there very easily could have been Mayor Maureen Walker before Richard Thomas. Landscape might have been a little different. You never know. So every vote counts. I do agree. Shout to Denise Cordoza Branch. Definitely someone who goes out and makes her voice heard at city council meetings and rallies and press conferences and
social media.
Yes, and she's definitely someone who you will hear her voice, and her point of view will be heard, and you will not dismiss her.
Yes, it seems pretty cool.
Yeah. I shout, like, we all need to get involved. Like, yo, we complain what's going on. We're the community. We're the voters. We're the taxpayers. We dictate, who's in office. If we utilize our responsibility, we vote. When things are not right, we go to the city council meeting, learn how things are done, sit in a couple of meetings, speak. You know what I'm saying? On the record, let things know. Same thing if it's in a school level. You go to the school board meetings. You know what I'm saying? On the county level, you go to the county legislator meetings. You know what I'm saying? Get involved. Know what's going on. And definitely learn all you can about your people running for election. coming to my church 1 or 2 Sundays before the election does not mean you're for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just a big thing. You want to reach the black people, you go to the big black churches. Even Hillary, she came to Grace Baptist, the big church that's down the street from Montika's shop, from Cupcake Cutie that I showed you, Lorraine.
Mm-hmm.
They've all been there. Hillary, all of them have been there. And they come in, they go to that one church, and they go to Shiloh Baptist in New Rochelle, and you know what I'm saying, they go to one somewhere else, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? And they think that gives them the whole black community.
But at the same time, when I was in public office, and you go to the churches when you're running for office, or somebody that you work for is running for office, and you're trying to get votes. You do go to the churches. But one of the things that I went to church, and I was speaking on behalf of Mayor McConey, and they was like, well, why do you come here now? Because you want votes. You don't come here any other time. Well, I've been there before a couple of times during the year, but no, I don't go to the church. I don't go to any, as a matter of fact. But when they told me that, I said, well, wait a minute. City Hall this was the church across the street from City Hall. I said, City Hall is right across the street. Where have you been for the last year? The City Hall belongs to the people. Why, if you have a problem, why haven't you gone to City Hall? So at the same time, if you don't go and get the resources and get and voice your opinion and stuff like that, I mean, don't get too upset.
Well, I agree. I agree on both cases.
Yeah, yeah.
But you
like
want.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I shouldn't say that talking about church.
But
sorry.
no. But you can tell some people who actually show up at church, sit down not to speak, and just go. Mm-hmm. Even if they're just going to make an appearance, they're not going because they're speaking. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be announced. They go sit in the back and they just, pay. Those you want to look at those people. You know what I'm saying? The people who only come, and when election time. But that's something that they do. They go there and they kiss babies. They go. You go to festivals. Right.
You go to anywhere where you can get a vote.
Well, Joe just when Joe Pena, he said Yonkers is getting all these money now because everybody has a primary.
Yeah.
All these people that was running when they were running with nobody running against them, you didn't hear from them. But now everybody got somebody challenging them, and all this money's coming from the state and the county and everywhere else because they're getting challenged now. Yonkers is getting money coming in now.
Yeah.
Because they got challenges.
People getting challenged. I told you that the other day.
When people run, and
people disappear for 2 years. They go on vacation. They go to Washington. They do Albany. They do what they got to do. They spend the rest of the years enjoying themselves, doing whatever they got to do. They make an appearance here and there. But 2 years later, when it's time to get reelected, they're out there full force. Every event, 13, 14, 15, 16, 20 events, as many as they can put into a calendar in a day.
I've heard people in the street actually say,
I did it.
Several communities say, yo, no, I'm not signing your sheet. Don't come to me. Don't come to me now. Where were you when
they get mad.
Where were you for the last 2 years when we needed you over this side of town?
Yeah.
We've never even seen you nowhere over here. But now you come and you want my signature. Get the hell out of here with that.
Yeah.
I've seen that being said.
They're doing that to a young lady right now.
To several candidates in Mount Vernon, Yonkers, Greenberg. I mean, just around the county. I'm seeing a lot more of that. Like, people are like, no.
People are getting frustrated. They're frustrated with the entire system, with everything.
Right. We're not signing your petition.
Yeah.
We're not signing your sheet. You have done nothing for us the whole time you've been in office. We are not supporting you. And I think the politicians don't know how to deal with that. They're like, oh, whoa, because they never heard this before. Like this, the people are and you need more of that. If you don't believe in a person, tell them. Let them know. They need you to get in office. You know what I'm saying? Let them know. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, we've talked about a little bit of everything because Engel has not arrived, and I'm not sure if he's coming. Damon's on his way from Kensico Dam. Dr. Bob's not here. I'm hearing that Jemani
Williams
was at Kensico and might stop through, but I'm not sure about that. So you just have me and Lorraine kicking it to you. This is Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday 6 to 8 on InTheMixRadio.com, where we give you real talk for the community. covering various community events, bigging up the people that are doing a good job.
Congratulations to all the graduates.
Yes. Oh, and
even the little ones that had their moving update from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade and on.
Shout out to the Greenberg School District. I saw the superintendent, Tahira Chase Dupree.
Mm-hmm.
She posted they had something like a 94% graduation rate.
Wow.
I think that's to be applauded.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so, we got to applaud our communities that are doing it right. You know what I'm saying? And I asked her to send me the information and some pictures so I can put that in the paper, the big that up. Shout out to there's a couple of community spotlights we got in this issue. I want to really big up a young lady named Jade Thompson. I was with, and I wrote this, when I get on the paper, Lorraine will tell you, when I get on the paper, everybody, Damon will tell you, I zone out. And I won't leave the house. Sometimes I forget to eat. People, the Bob will come by, yo, come get in the car. I know you need a break from the computer. Come outside. So it was true. I did need a break. So I doing all the writing, because I do the lion's share of the writing in the paper and on the website. And what I don't write, I have to edit. So, and I lay out the paper and I manage the site. So I go out. We're going down off 3rd Street, turn down Columbus, turn up Washington, and I see a young lady with a lemonade stand. So, we pull over in the gas station across. I go over, introduce myself, give her a paper, and we'll take some candid shots of her just to, do a little community thing. And when I got back home, I realized that's the same young lady. She's 18 now. 2 years ago, she was 16, and Cynthia ran into her. She was a senior at Nellie Thornton High School, and she was working her lemonade stand. Well, now she's finished her freshman year at Bernard College at Columbia University, and she's out on the corner of South Columbus Avenue and Washington Street, and she's working her lemonade stand to pay for her sophomore year of college. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people ain't going to college. Their mother ain't got the money for it. They just give it. She's gonna raise her money one delicious, refreshing cup of lemonade at a time if she has to. So I want to encourage everybody who goes through Mount Vernon, because Columbus is that main strip. You can take that all the way up to where we went to the golf outing, to Lord and Taylor's, at 22. If you just happen to be going through there, stop at the corner of Columbus and Washington. Her name is Jade. Yo, stop by, get a cup of lemonade, get a cup of iced tea, get a bottle of water. She got some snacks or something, or just go by and make a donation. You know what I'm saying? And support this young lady. She's my community spotlight. I gave her. She's the BW Young Entrepreneur of the Summer. You know what I'm saying? I just want to congratulate her. We have to congratulate our youth when they're doing it, when they're doing positive things. Most of our youth are painted in the urban communities, Latino, African American, whatever. They're painted in bad lights. You only see them when they're getting arrested. You see them when they do negative stuff. You don't hear about the good stuff. At News 12, I didn't see the story that Greenberg had a 94% graduation rate. I didn't see that in the news. You understand what I'm saying? But whatever school has the worst graduation rate, I read that. I don't see the kids are not. You want your kids to do a good job. You know what I'm saying? We complain about the youth being out of control. But when we got somebody doing it, we don't put our support behind. And I'm saying this is a young lady we need to put our support behind. Stop by, get a glass of lemonade, give her a tip. You don't want nothing to drink, just hand her something, make a donation towards her college, because she's using this money to pay for her sophomore year in college. And you know what I'm saying? And you can read about it in the paper, what she's planning on being and all that stuff. I got the quote from her. I just want to shout her out. Her name is Jade Thompson. She is the BW Entrepreneur of the Summer. I want to give her props, man, for, you know what I'm saying? We got to big these people up. We got to big our youth that are doing something. We got to big them up. So, you were getting ready to say something, Lorraine?
No, I wasn't.
Ah, okay.
Believe it or not.
Shout out to Monty Whitaker, Del Monty, my homeboy from Strong Island, lives in Prince George County in Maryland. Homeboy from back in the days, going back from, I lived in Long Island from 7 to 14, and I've been back a few times. You know what I'm saying? So we went to school together from elementary, junior high school to something together, and it's been like a good close friend since then. Always
That's
check
cool.
on me, always check on my health. When I go to my sister's house in Virginia, you know what I'm saying? He'll come down, take that trip, you know what I'm saying? Come check on a brother, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to my man Monty. And our homeboy, our mutual homeboy, Reggie Hobbs, you know what I'm saying, who's, both our homeboys. He's like my brother from another mother, you know what I'm saying, ran with us through the JVC days and all that good stuff, you know what I mean? So word up, shout to them.
Let me ask you a question. The lieutenant governor, what's his name again? The one that's running for lieutenant governor?
Jumaane Williams. He's a New York
Is he
City.
running in a ticket?
I think he's
With Cynthia
Demo-
Nixon?
I don't know.
Independent.
I don't know. That's a question for
We can
anybody
ask
in his camp who might be listening to call in, or hopefully he may show up and give us the answer himself before the show's over. I just know that he's New York City councilman. He's very outspoken. You heard me say it before. We all went down and a big rally and press conference for Colin Kaepernick. He had the shirts on. I'm with Cap. And he was there and he spoke against. And they say police don't speak up. Yo, it was full of black law enforcement officers and correction officers and cops from the 5 boroughs, and even
I remember that.
Serpico from that they made the movie Al Pacino play. Serpico was there, and Serpico spoke about the police brutality. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, "I know," and you've seen the movie, so you know he knows. And Serpico does not come into the 5 boroughs. There's still threats on his life from what he did. From turning over the bad cops. There are still threats on his life. But he came that day to stand with the officers and to stand with Kaepernick for who got punished for making a protest, a nonviolent, quiet protest, and he didn't stand up for he didn't put his heart he didn't stand up for the flag. He took a knee, and they gave him a knee and sacked him. His contract ended, and nobody has signed him. And I've heard people say that what's the name, the quarterback from North Carolina, it's a black quarterback. I'm asking you,
I know them all.
Somebody tell me the black quarterback from North Carolina. I can't think of his name right now.
OJ.
No. Anyway, he said, and that's a talented brother, and he said Colin is more qualified than a lot of teams starting quarterback. That he got more skills than a lot of teams starting quarterback now. And that he should, and for this brother to make that kind of a statement, this brother got some skills. You know what I'm saying?
By the time somebody offers him something, he's probably going to say, listen, I'm not interested. He probably has been offered.
No, he has not. He has not been offered by any team.
Wow.
And you know what I like about him? He may never play again professionally, but I've seen videos of him still training to stay in shape. I think that's an important lesson. We give up on stuff. Now, he may not play again, but if somebody calls him,
he's ready.
He might not be in football playing shape, but he's still, I seen him doing the routes. I seen him, he had a guy running with him, he's throwing, the arm's still there. You know what I'm saying? I was like, he's running routines. I was like, yo, dude still got a little something for somebody who ain't played in like 2 years.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So shout to Colin Kaepernick and for taking a stand. And I believe in this day and age, he will be remembered like Muhammad Ali, who refused to fight in the Vietnam War, at the risk of losing, and at the risk losing his belt and the best years of his career, the right to fight. You know what I'm saying? And then end up coming back and getting his belt back again. But he was like, yo, those are not my enemies. My enemies are right here. Them Viet Cong ain't never did nothing to me. The people that persecute me live here. He said, I'm not fighting your war for you. You know what I mean? So I believe Colin has brought this conversation to a national level. People that would normally not be talking about it. FYI, County Legislator Christopher Johnson is hosting a meeting of community black leaders on Tuesday, June 26th. That's this Tuesday, 6 to 8, the Riverfront Library, invitation only. Gail, this is from Gail. Gail, can you post, is invitation only? How does one get invited? do you have
I was to say, okay,
do you have
invitation
to,
only.
do you have to
Call the councilman's
call
office?
the councilman's office? There's a website you got to go put your name on and say you want to go. How does one get invited that might want to go to this thing? Again, it's Christopher Johnson's hosting a meeting.
He
Community
should be
Black
out
Leaders on
canvassing.
Tuesday.
Putting out the vote that day, no?
Well,
He's a county legislator
he's
now.
not, and he's not running. He ran last year. He got every 2 years. He'll be out next year.
Oh, that's messed up.
No, every 2 years.
Yeah, but he got to help his fellow Democrats.
Sometimes he actually answers me on Facebook. I'm gonna see if.
Well, he probably will be doing it all day.
Well, if this is from
Knowing him, he will.
this
He'll
event.
get out the vote.
Well, this event is 6 to 8 p.m. So, I mean, it'll be close to the end of the election. I mean, most people will have voted already.
Not really, because people come out of work and then you get a rush.
Well, that's true too. Yo, I'm one of them people. Yo, I try to get there as early as possible, whenever it opens.
Like the
And
seniors, they're
and
there at 6 o'clock in the morning,
well,
faithfully.
I'm not there 6. I've been at 7-ish before 8. You know what I'm saying? I've never been there 6. I will never even front like I got. Sometimes, well, you know what? One day, I was still working on the paper. I hadn't gone to sleep yet. And I was like, you know what? Let me go vote now before I go to sleep and I'll forget. Because I was up all night working on the paper. And it might have been like the almost 7 o'clock, you know, the earliest one because I hadn't gone to sleep yet.
Usually on election day, I'm out there at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's when we all go out. And that's the time we start the day.
So what else is going on in your world, Lorraine?
Jesus, I told you everything.
I need some help. See, Bob, this is what Bob and Damien will come in with. So I can
Oh,
type
and I'm
stuff.
I'm
You know what I'm
supposed
saying?
to say
Yeah.
something. And okay.
You got to hold me
So-
down a little bit. Yeah.
I did for the last hour and 19 minutes. Let's see. I got my grandson with me. I'm very
And he
excited
got-
about that for the summer.
And he got to meet Eliot Engel.
And he got 2 pictures with Eliot Engel,
yeah.
and he told him, "My name is Mason." And then Eliot Engel said it wrong, and he said, "Oh no, I said Mason." I was listening to the conversation. And then he was like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry."
But
Mason."
Eliot walked up to him and said, "What's your name, young man?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Eliot walked up to him, and he was like, "Oh."
He told me, he said that Mason got very took to him very quickly, and that Mason reminded him of his kids, his 2 sons when his sons were little.
Yeah, he was talking about that. I just tried to hit Chris if he's on Facebook. Here, see, I've done that several times when we had shows. We were talking about an issue that was in his.
When are you gonna ask him? Is he gonna go out and
no, the
pull out
information
the
about
vote
his
on
event.
Oh, his event.
How does one get invited? It says invitation only. Like, you know, do you have any more information that you want me to?
And it's black leaders, so he must have been. He didn't invite you. That's messed up, AJ.
Yeah, I'm not considered a black
damn.
leader. I'm considered a troublemaker by some people's standards.
No, I don't think so. Not at all.
By some people's standards. Damon and I.
Maybe he said, no, not Black Westchester. No, not them.
Damon and I, early on in 2014, we were walking up. I'll never forget this. I wish I had it on tape. We were walking up to the red carpet, the first day of the Mount Vernon Film Festival. It was the first annual. And Mayor Davis said, "Oh boy, here come the terrorists. These guys are worse than Al Qaeda." And that was like the joke for the whole press conference. He's like, they had Damon stand up there, and he was like, wait, don't get me in the picture next to the terrorists. Let me move over. He just kept calling. For people that ever heard the little thing on Funkmaster Flex, it's Funkmaster Flex. Hard to get a ticket. It was David Letterman that did that in his stand up, and he walked by the Palladium and seen Funkmaster Flex name on the thing every Friday night. and saw all these lines, and he was like, yo, what's the Funkmaster Flex, man? Yo, I don't know what it is, but it must be hard to get a ticket because there's always a long line. He took that and he sampled it, and it was like, Funkmaster Flex, hard to get a ticket, hard to get a ticket. I would have sampled Ernie Davis' voice. Black Westchester, terrorists, worse than Al-Qaeda. And I'd have sampled it and worked it through a reverb, and that would have been something I played and wore for like a badge of honor. But
Gail answered you.
Yeah, I saw. I was getting ready to get to that. Gail Baxter said to invitation only, you have to call Shatiqua, I'm sorry, who is the aide to Legislator Johnson, at 914-995-2813. People say I read numbers and stuff too fast. Again, that's 914-995-2813. Call, say her name again? Shatiqua. Call Shatiqua. Provide an email address and she will send an invite. Provided you qualify, capital LOL. So how does one qualify? I guess that's the question. So who should not send emails? Who should not? Don't waste your time. What are the qualifications there?
I guess if you haven't been invited, I wouldn't waste my time.
Shout to Joy Malone. She just tuned in. But as you this information is in the comment section under the video, the live video on Facebook, on my page, on the People Before Politics page, and I think Damon, while he's in a car somewhere, wherever he has shared it on like 30 other pages. Cause I kept seeing little alerts come up across the screen. Yeah, as always. So shout to my man Damon K. Jones, supposed to be on his way. May get here before the show's over, may not. What else is going on? Since we have time, any callers want to call about any of the topics we talked about or discuss anything? 718-705-4959. Let's open up the phone lines. 718-705-4959. Let's open up the phone lines if you want to discuss any of the topics that we're talking about. You want to discuss, you want to mention the topic we haven't talked about and get us to talk about it, give us a call, 718-705-4959. As we only have a little over half an hour left, I ask everybody to make their comments or questions brief. Sorry, I don't have time to get people 10 minutes each. So I ask everybody, if you are going to call, make your comment or question brief. 718-705-4959. As always, you can check this out on the In The Mix radio app and on inthemixradio.com. Lorraine has an announcement of some sort.
Yes, the lady of the house has just informed us that Congressman Eliot Engel is in the house.
Okay.
He's coming in a minute. He's taking care of something,
Okay, so
real quick.
So he has entered the
building. He's
the
here.
Premises.
He's changing his glasses right now.
Oh, okay. So we're going to
say everything
we're
that's
actually
going
to get to hear from the congressman. So I take back no calls right now. We're going to let the congressman talk. So just keep leaving comments in the comment section if you have something that you want to say.
Okay, he's going to come in a minute. He's in the phone real quick.
Okay. So again, to go to that meeting, 914-995-2813. And entering the building is the one and only Congressman Eliot Engel, the incumbent. Wait, cheer 3. Oh, you moving over to 4? Okay.
Yeah.
Turn your mic on. And when they start you off with People Before Politics, welcome. There you go.
Welcome.
Please pull the mic to you. It moves. Just talk into the mic, pull it to you. So welcome to the show. This is your first time on the People Before Politics radio show. How are you, sir?
Good. The first time is the time you always remember.
All right. I need you to pull your mic a little closer.
Okay.
Oh, you're okay. You good. Let me turn you up a little bit. That's mic 3. Yeah. Okay.
I was saying the first time is the time you always remember.
That's right. Never forget your first time. In so many different ways. So, I got to chat with you a little bit on Friday and a little mix and mingle with Eliot Engel.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
And she was talking about you walked up, grandson got to talk to you and take some pictures, and he was very excited about that. Yeah.
I was excited too.
So basically, now can you answer one question that because it's been asked a lot? Why did they? When did they? And why did they move the Democratic primary for your race to June?
That's a good question. New York's the only state that does it this way. The primary used to always be in September for everybody, including me.
Right.
And then the court ruled that the service men and women on the other side of the world in September wouldn't have enough time to answer their ballots for everything to come back in time for the November election. And they ruled that it had to be earlier than September, which made it August, July, or June. They couldn't come up with an agreement in Albany, so the court imposed June. And then a few years later, which is now, the legislature made it in June. The problem with June is we're all alone. Everybody else runs in September.
Right.
So everybody thinks that, don't worry, I'll vote for you in September.
Right.
And the problem with making it in June, they make it the fourth Tuesday in June happens to be the last day of school, or maybe even some of the school districts are already done. People are making their vacation plans, or
Just
some
before
kids
the
are
4th
going
of
to
July,
camp.
right.
Some kids going to camp, 4th of July. So it's really a bad time. And the thing that really concerned me was not so much that I wouldn't win, because, you always want to win, of course.
Right, right.
But it was that people just wouldn't know to vote.
Right, right.
And,
right.
No one wants to lose, but if everybody votes and you lose, you say, okay, this is what happened. But if nobody votes and you lose, you say, well, that wasn't right.
Right.
People should have known about it.
Right.
So I want to make sure that everybody votes and I win. And I think we're doing a great job, and my friends are helping me. So thank you all very much.
Absolutely.
But that's the reason why it's June. And I'm hoping that if the Democrats control the state Senate, as well as the Assembly, which they now control the state Assembly, come November, I think the Democrats would be inclined to putting the primaries all together. And I hope I can convince them to do the third week in June or something like that, rather than the last week in June.
Damon J.K. Jones just walked in the building. Now, why, while I understand what you said, and that's a good answer and a good reason, then why only your race and not all of the races? Because wouldn't the people over the same people have the same problem with the other races? Why just your race? Like that's what's confusing to me.
Well, it is confusing. There was a federal law that was passed, which said that the elections had to be held a certain amount of time, and I think that was because of that federal law that the court ruled that the legislature, the judge gave the legislature time to get together and come up with one date. They were going to come up with August and have everybody run in August, just like everyone used to run in September.
Okay.
But to my way of thinking, August is even worse than
right, because it's the end of the year. You try to get out before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So who knows?
Well, yeah, but it's still. I'm still confused why they
it's
just didn't
confusing.
take all the races and put them in June.
Right.
Like, because then at least everyone would know
that's
there's a primary in June.
But the important thing to know right now is that there is a primary on Tuesday, and people need to come out and vote.
Absolutely. David K. Jones, would you like to say a few words to the people real quick? Got a question for the Congressman?
Good evening. Sorry that I'm late. I was at the Kensico Dam handling some business. But welcome, Congressman. Glad to have you on the show. It's the first time you're on the show. Glad to have you on the show. And we announced on Friday black law enforcement and black and Latino law enforcement organizations throughout the state of New York. We stood behind Congressman Engel and his record of serving the people. And we're going to stand with him on the 26th, and we're going to let everybody know to come out and vote on the 26th for to re-elect Congressman Eliot Engel for Congressman.
Well, thank you very much. And as I said the other day, I'm very grateful. I have a lot of respect for law enforcement people, and a lot of respect for people from the community who are in law enforcement. And of course, we always talk about diversity and how important that is in our multicultural society. And so the organizations that you belong to and the organizations that really keep us safe and keep us moving are diverse and should remain diverse, so people feel that the police or whoever it is are part and parcel of the community, not alien to the community.
That's right.
Very important.
That's right.
One of the things we talked about earlier in the show, and I know that you issued a statement and I put it in one of my stories, was this whole thing with the people that have come over here for asylum. The children have been separated. Yes, President Trump has then issued an executive order, but there's over 2,000 something children that are still separated, and there's no plans that I've heard of reuniting them with their parents. And I know that you have a bill? A bill or something on it, and I just wanted to get your perspective on that whole thing, because we talked about that earlier, and that seems to be a hot topic in the news right now.
Yes, well, the policy has been under Trump's administration that when parents come to the border of the United States, and usually through Mexico, that the parents and children are separated, and they keep them in separate places. The children are all together, dispersed all around the country, holding them in places, including a place in Yonkers, by the way, that we were at yesterday. They didn't let us in because we tried to get permission from ICE to go in, and they wouldn't let us in. They said within the next 2 weeks, so we're going to demand that we're able to get in there. There's nothing wrong with the facility itself. From what I've heard, it's a well-run facility, and they treat the children well. The problem is children should not be separated from their parents, and that is something that I think we need to change right away. So we are fighting that, and hopefully we're going to win. A lot of people are trying to escape their countries in Central America because they fear for their lives. There's a bad element and bad people and good people are trying to flee. Now, some people don't want them in this country, and some people are saying that they're only coming for economic reasons. They're not coming because of safety reasons, which of course is not true at all. And I really just think that when we separate parents from children and do it at the border, it's really nasty and it's racist. It really is. And
one of my problems with the whole situation, I was watching Meet the Press and Kellyanne Conway speaking for the president. The Republican party line right now is that if you are an American citizen and you commit a crime, you are separated from your child and you go to jail. The problem that I have with that, this coming to this country seeking asylum is not a crime.
Correct.
So to even compare those two things,
correct.
I don't care how often they say it and how many different people they say it, you cannot get me to believe that it's the same thing. And I think it's a gross mischaracterization of the situation. I know I said the word wrong, but you know what I mean.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And what they're trying to do, it's so obvious, what the government is trying to do is they're trying to make it so terrible that it stops people from coming to the border.
Right.
That's all they're trying to do. And I don't go along with it. I don't think it's right. And I think we need to stop it. And the outrage in this country has really reached a crescendo, and we need to keep on fighting.
Somebody introduced me to this incredible app called Countable, and every time you vote, I get an alert. Your representative Engel voted yes. So I know there's some legislation that you voted on lately, or that you're trying to push through, and I want to give you an opportunity to maybe share that with the people.
What I was doing, because I'm the ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, which means if the Democrats win the majority in November, I'll be the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee.
Wow.
So what I did was I put someone from right here. It's amazing. So what I did was we have embassies in all three of these countries, El Salvador and the other two countries besides El Salvador. We Guatemala and El Salvador, Guatemala. And so our embassies are under the jurisdiction of the State Department. The State Department is under the jurisdiction of the Foreign Affairs Committee. And so we have American personnel in those countries. We have embassies in those countries. And my bill will mandate that these embassies help facilitate what's ever necessary to get these things processed and to reunite the parents and the children. So that's what we're trying to do.
I've received, they must be cutting down trees. I've received tree loads of campaign literature from your the person running against you, one of the people running against you, and was making all kinds of allegations to you, and then I get another one with you answering it, and a lot has been said from your opponent. Would you like to address any of those things?
Well, we had a debate today.
Yeah, that's where you come. I heard that.
at the college, and there were 4 of us actually running.
So who's the 4th one? I know it's you, Jonathan Lewis, Derek Lawrence, and I knew we couldn't get the name.
There's a lady. I never heard of her before.
Right. That's we were saying we didn't know who.
All right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. We just try to inform the people, but that's
okay. So we had a debate before. It's Sarah Lawrence, and it went well. I was pleased with it.
Okay.
It's really easy to trash talk people's records or just flippantly say what you don't know, just kind of talking about it. But I'm a big boy. I've been in this game a long time, and people have a right to run against you. They've got a right to say what they don't like about you, and you've got a right to tell people why you think they should vote for you again. It's worked for me so far. I've represented this district for 15 terms, which is 30 years. And as I mentioned before, I'm now, because of the seniority system, I'm now at the point where I could be chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee and have a lot of influence, not only in foreign affairs, but in terms of domestic programs and helping bring grants to the district and things like that. So
yeah, we need that.
Right. So I always say that, we don't want to turn out people who have experience because somebody wants a fresh face. And I've just been running on my record. I've got 3 district offices. We've helped thousands and thousands of people through the years with personal problems or community concerns. I feel good about it. I feel good about my reelection. But you know what? You've got to. This isn't anybody's seat. It's the people's seat, and you've got to abide by the will of the people. So the expression I always use is that it's a 2-year term, so I get a 2-year contract. And at the end of the contract, I ask the people to renew my 2-year contract for another 2 years. And that's what I'm doing now. My opponent who writes these vile things about me, he is a multimillionaire. He's put nearly $750,000 of his own money into a raise.
Wow.
And then he calls on me to not stop accepting PAC contributions. So I've been saying, not all of us are millionaires, and not all of us can afford to fund our campaigns.
Right.
And the last millionaire, the last 1%er who came from New York, who had no political experience and ran for an office in Washington, was Donald Trump. So we didn't need him, and we didn't need the guy running against me either.
That's good.
Eliot, let me ask you a question. When people speak on seniority and people speak
what I was
on
gonna say too.
The fact that some people have over 20 years that's been in office. What is the average for you to become a senior congressman, right? To head a committee, like what is like the average years that a person would have in office to be able to get that position, to be able to chair a committee like that?
Well, it's definitely 20 or 30 years.
Really?
Or
Okay.
Maybe even with me, it's 30.
Right.
And you sit and you play the game, and then when it gets to be your term, you don't want people who don't have the time to say, okay, well, we're changing the rules of the game.
Right.
I've been on the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus. They have a lot of them are my friends, and they have a lot, just like me, a lot of time put in to the Congress. Spent a lot of terms running.
Right.
And now many of them are like me, about to reach a pinnacle.
Exactly.
And now it's not fair. We played by the rules of the game. 20 years ago, we would have liked to have been chairman, but we knew you had to wait till 30 years. That's just the way the system works.
Right. Yeah.
So we are. It's great to say new blood and sweep out the old and blah blah blah, but people better know what they're doing, because you don't want a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing. And in New York, it's very important that we have people who have been around who can make the case for New York. For instance, Donald Trump and the Republicans pass what they call a tax cut bill, and he signed it into law. And he's saying how wonderful it is. Well, if you're a multimillionaire, it's wonderful.
Exactly.
You get a tax cut. If you're a middle class, working class, or poor person, you wind up paying more, because if you itemize your deductions, the rules change. They don't let you itemize all the things that you would ordinarily be able to do, which would make your tax burden less. So, and because New York is a high cost of living state, we pay more in New York for rent, for food, for all kinds of things than most people pay all around the country. And so, somebody may be making, $40,000 a year. In some places in the country, they could live, very well. Try living in New York for $40,000 a year.
Right. That's right.
So we need people that are going to do right by our state and by our region, and that's why many of us make alliances in the Congress. And we think that right now we're in a place to win, and we're gonna do some good things.
I'm glad that you mentioned the tax cuts, because I'm a correction officer. I've been there for 28 years. I've been involved in labor. I've been a union delegate. Dealt with a lot of labor issues, and when I go to work, and I talk to some of those people that have supported Trump, and there's a lot of civil service, right? There's a lot of police unions and union people that are so pro Trump, and I try to explain to them that what he's doing is taking the power away from labor, taking our collective bargaining rights away. This tax cut that maybe some people, I see a lot of guys saying, "Oh man, Trump is," but the working class people who we are, civil service, we're getting the short end of the stick of it, but the message is really not getting to a lot of those working class people that are in unions on what's Trump doing to us.
Well, because the problem we find, I come from a union family. My dad was a welder, and he belonged to the Iron Workers Union in the Bronx. And so I grew up with a union family. My dad was on his union's executive board for many years. So I grew up, again, in a labor household. I went with my dad a few times to Pennsylvania when there were strikes there in the steel mills and things like that, walking the picket line when I was 10 or 12. And so it's very important. We always knew that, my father used to say, the Democratic Party is the party of the working person, and the Republican Party is the party of the rich person. My father used to say that. A lot of people who are working people are voting Republican on social issues. They think that, they worry about their guns, or or the American flag, or gay people, or whatever it is, and it's ridiculous. They need to, or they would do better for themselves if they voted for the party that cares about decent wage, that cares about labor rights, that cares about how people are treated, that don't think it's right if your boss can summarily fire you or you lose your job without due process. Those are really important things. So people tend to think when you belong to a union for many years, you have certain rights. You think those rights are going to be there forever. No, they're not. If people like Donald Trump get their way, he hooks them on the social issues, and then down the line, all their rights will go.
Exactly.
We talked about a tax cut, right? So what the Republicans did with the tax cut was they couldn't pay for it because it was expensive, so they just took it and added to the debt. When we want to add to the debt and have health care, Obamacare, things that really mean something in people's lives, they tell us, oh, we're irresponsible because we're adding to the debt. But when they want to help millionaires and billionaires with a tax cut that they say is for the middle class, which is not, that's okay to go into deficit and to make it harder down the line. We're leaving the debt to our kids and our grandkids.
That's right.
That isn't right. So I find it frustrating sometimes with some of the rank and file who look at some of these issues. They don't want anyone to touch their guns, and they don't want anyone to, those kinds of issues. All right, fine. But you know what? You have a job, you have money in your pocket. Who's fighting for you? It's certainly not Donald Trump.
That's right. Now, and I want to, I just had something else definitely wanted to, because I was writing an article because I had seen that there was a report from the trade partnership, and it was saying that the recent tariffs that Trump is trying to put on a lot of these countries, that it actually is we're going to lose from these tariffs a loss of about 400,000 jobs from the tariffs. And he's saying he's creating jobs, but he's only going to create like 26,000 jobs. but the total job market resulting from the tariffs is about 400,000, according to this report that was just.
No, I think we're going to lose jobs, but what's more importantly, we're going to lose credibility and we're going to lose friends.
Right.
You know, the president rants and raves about the Canadian prime minister. Since when, you know, we all grew up, Canada's always been our best friend.
Right,
Since when do we embarrass him? The president embraces the Russian President Putin, who by all means is a bad guy and interfered in our elections and helped get Donald Trump elected. No doubt about that.
Right.
So they're going to be his buddies. So,
And the Koreans.
and the Koreans, he flip-flops. You know, first he doesn't want to talk to this guy, and now this guy's his best buddy.
Right.
And he'll flip back again. You know, so we are through our tariffs and everything else, we're making enemies in the world where we needn't make enemies, and we're taking longtime friends and turning them into enemies.
Exactly.
It just makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Exactly.
Now he just had us pull out of, what was it, the Human Rights Commission? Of the
Right,
UN?
the Human Rights Commission. They pulled us out of the Human Rights.
Look, the Human
United
Rights
States.
Commission in the United Nations is terrible. It's awful. It's anti-West, and they have some of the worst human rights abusers. They use it to beat up Israel. They use it to beat up America, and I don't have any great feeling for them. But the question is, what do you do? What is the best way to do? Do you pull out, walk away like a crybaby, and say we're not going to participate, or do you stay and fight? I think we're much stronger if we stay and fight. I don't think we should throw our hands up and walk away. So he's walked away from that. He's walked away from the Iran deal. He's walked away from the Paris Accords, you know, the accords for climate change. He's walking away from everything. All the things that have been done over the past, 10, 20, 30 years, everything Obama's done, he wants to get rid of or reverse.
Basically.
It's just amazing. And I can't wait till he's voted out. I mean, I just cannot. It's inconceivable to me that people would vote for him for a second term. And we have all these kinds of things happening with the Mueller probe and investigation. I mean, they've only scratched the surface. I think there's a lot more that's going to come out there, and there's stuff we don't even know that we're going to learn. And I think it'll happen relatively soon this year.
That'll be interesting.
Sure will.
I think there's two investigations that a lot of people.
we keep talking about how the national level and the local level are mirroring each other. You know what I'm saying?
Talk about putting your foot in your mouth.
I think, we go ahead, AJ. You was going to say the parallels, right?
Yeah, we talk about that a lot on the show, how the parallel was going on a local level in the local administration in Mount Vernon and what's going on in the national level.
It's like the same. It's like you're watching the same thing.
The Trump administration and the Thomas administration sometimes, even with the claims of fake news when you challenge them, and then the allegations of what, like Meet the Press was talking about last Friday, Trump, and through the day that Friday, he made 7 outrageous claims that was so
outrageous.
No, so provably false. You know what I'm saying? This is the exact word that the guy used. They were provably false. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, he does that, and then if you challenge him, then you're fake news.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we see that also on the city level too. So it's just great. It's an interesting parallel. It's almost like they're playing from each other's playbook. Almost. If Richard Thomas didn't get in a year before Trump, I would say he's playing from Trump's playbook. You know what I'm saying? But he was in actually a year before Trump was in. But
let's change the subject. Gail Baxter has a question for him.
Gail has a question?
Yeah.
Hey, Gail, how you doing, Gail? What?
No, right in the thing.
Oh, okay. You want me to?
She can't get through the telephone. She's trying to get through the telephone.
Somebody's right now trying to get through.
That's probably her.
Children separated from their parents have been sent to New York State. Approximately 700. A few hundred in Westchester, St. Christopher and Rising Sun, formerly Lake
and Watts.
It says Seymour. Hold on, I got to click to see the rest of it.
Rising Sun is where I was yesterday.
It has been reported that 71 million and 80 million, respectively, will be given to each agency. Question: who is responsible to monitor how this money is spent, given the fact that one of these agencies mentioned has a troubled past in caring for children? How were these agencies chosen? What will local stakeholders be able to visit with children? Mayor de Blasio has attached himself to kids in NYC. Who is the point person for Westchester?
Well, those are lots of questions, and
there was a lot of them.
We don't have answers on a lot of them, which is one of the reasons why this whole thing is a mess. This never should have happened in the first place. Children should never have been separated from their parents in the first place. I don't know exactly how many are at the place I was at yesterday, but we hear it's less than 20 in that one place. And what we want to make sure is that children are united with their parents, that they're not going to separate any new kids, but that the old ones that have already been separated, we want them reunited. We don't want them to remain separated. And so that's the thing we're going to be counting on. But those are good questions, and those are all the things that need answers, and we're going to demand those kinds of answers. The reason we wanted to come in, and ICE told us that we would have to wait 2 weeks. We were 3 members of Congress. And, the Congress, we're not supposed to just rubber stamp the president. We're a branch of government that's equal, and we have our oversight things to do, and we're going to do them. So a lot of those questions we'll have answers for. But right now I demand that the policy end. And as I mentioned before, my bill would allow the embassies, our embassies, in those Central American countries to help facilitate the turning over of children to their parents.
I want to comment on that, but I also want to do a little housekeeping. Before you came, I was telling people, before Damien came, when it was just me and Lorraine, I invited people to call in. Once we realized you were here and we didn't have a lot of time, I said I would not take calls, but they can leave comments in the comment section and I will read it, because there's very little time and wanted to give you as much time as possible. That being said, now it made me forget where I was going with that.
People commenting.
No,
questions?
about the last, what he just said.
Children.
Go on to the next question, because I totally.
What I must have said probably wasn't very good, because
no. I just once I went.
He was thinking about the next question,
and I'm reading all the comments, and I'm trying to address the people at the same time. So my mind's in 20 different things. So,
been there, done that.
Yeah. Anything we didn't ask you? Anybody who wants to know anything about you that does not? Oh, one thing I wanted to say earlier. When I do the show, I always tell everybody I go into this show like it's my first one and my last one. Go into it as like my first one, because no longer how long we've been doing it, 4 years, there's always somebody listening for the first time. And I always do it like it's my last, because, I never know. Nobody's promised tomorrow. There's a lot of first-time voters coming in. They don't know your history. They're not getting, they haven't been in politics. Why should they vote for you? Speaking to them.
Well, I think they should vote for me, because I think I've done an effective job during these past 30 years. I've brought in millions of dollars of federal money into the district. I have 3 district offices, including one in Mount Vernon, that helps thousands of people with personal problems or community concerns. I'm always fighting for New York and fighting the plans of the Trump administration, as you've heard some of my comments before. I think we need to make things better for younger people. I went to City College. It was actually Hunter College, and it became Lehman College when it was free. And I grew up in a city housing project. I grew up in the Bronx in a city housing project. My dad, as I mentioned before, was an iron worker, and we weren't poor in that we didn't have food, but we were working class to a very large degree. And I think I've proven that if you work hard and you stand for things that are important, you can do well. And I want young people to know that what I was able to do, that they can do it as well. And I try to help as many as I can. And again, I've always been in the community. I've lived in my district I represent till I was from when I was 12. We moved in, and I still live there today. So I still live here today. So I think people should vote for me, because they know that I care about them, that the policies I put forward are to help poor people and to help working people, and they're not policies to give the wealthy even more than they have. And that's all you can be. You can be honest and hardworking and try to help people, and that's really what life's all about. So I would tell young people to don't look at somebody's age. Not that I think I'm old by any stretch of the imagination, but compared to a 30-year-old, my kids are 30. My son's 31, my daughter's 37, and my other son is 24.
Right.
So I love young people because they have an energy, and they can help lead the way. They can help certainly lead the way, and they have particular problems. My daughter, who is a lawyer, went to law school, has all this debt from college.
That's right.
She can't climb out from under it, and I keep telling her, I don't understand. And she said, every time I pay, it seems like I owe more and more the more I pay.
I can understand that.
You're paying, the principal never goes down.
That's right.
You're paying the interest.
That's
And
right.
that's, my family is, a million other families out there like that. We have to use government to help poor people and help poor people become middle-class people and help middle-class people become upper middle class. And that's
Absolutely.
what I've always tried to do.
2 quick comments. Councilman Andre Wallace wrote, "A vote for Engel is a vote for progress. Let's move Mount Vernon forward. Everyone show up on Tuesday." And when you're talking about helping people, I almost forgot this. A friend of mine, Tammy Cates, she spoke about when she found out that I was interviewing you today. She told me the story, and she had told me before she had a heart attack or something, and she didn't have insurance, and she couldn't get her medication, and she contacted your office, and I don't know what you did, but she was able to get all the medication she needed, and she was approved for whatever she was, and and she's, you can always tell. I always tell people, I judge people on how they, change the quality of life for people and help people. Well, that's somebody I know who raves about, what you've done for them.
That's beautiful.
Well, thank you. That's that's the third incident today where someone came up and said to me, "You helped me. Thank you." There's no better feeling in the world than helping people. And let me call
That's
out.
true.
Let me call out to my friend, Mr. Councilmember Wallace, Andre. He is working hard for the people, just like me, and it's great to be his partner in Mount Vernon.
Great.
We're coming kind of to the close of the show. I want to give anybody who wants to know more about you, websites, how would they contact your office, or where would they find out information that
Sure.
they need before Tuesday?
And what time the polling?
Oh yeah, Tuesday the
places are
polling
open?
the polling place is open 6 in the morning and they close at 9 in the evening. And I'm the only one on the ballot with my 3 challengers, and I'd really appreciate if people would come out and vote. My district office is on Gramerton Avenue in Mount Vernon. It's on the same floor as Assemblyman Pretlow's. Gary Pretlow and I have offices right next to each other, and we've all formed a great partnership. The elected officials, myself, in Mount Vernon. I'm very honored and pleased to represent Mount Vernon, and really feel a closeness with the people there. It's been my honor for so many years to represent Mount Vernon, and we're going to keep on fighting for people. The best thing you can do, the best feeling you can get, is if you've made a difference in someone's life. I know it sounds corny, but it's not corny.
It's not at all.
Because what's life all about? If you can know that you help somebody, it's really great. I can tell you a quick funny story. The other day we were in Yonkers, and there was a festival there, and when I first job I got out of college, I was a teacher, and I taught in the South Bronx. I taught middle school in the South Bronx, and so I was 9 years older than my students. I was 21 or 22, and they were like 13. I was really something. So this woman comes up to me the other day, and she says, "Mr. Engel," and I look at her and I smile, and she said, I figured she knows me from my work in the Congress, and she said, "You used to be my teacher in junior high school." And I said to her, "Well, do you mind if I ask you how old you are?" And she said 60. And I really felt old. No. Only kidding. But it's great to be able to help people, and it's great to when someone thanks you for something. It's to me it's worth
You
everything
get back
in the
tenfold,
world.
they say.
You do, because what's life all about? Really, you watch your family grow. Your dear ones are important. Your friends, and you help people. And if you can help one life, there's nothing more satisfying as far as I'm concerned than doing that. So I'm glad we were able to help her, and send everybody else over who wants to come. We're always willing to roll up our sleeves. I have a motto which says, no problem's too big or too small. We don't ask you what your political affiliation is. We don't ask any questions. We're there to help. And if you have a problem, we'll roll up our sleeves. We can't promise we'll solve every problem, but we can promise that we'll try to solve every problem.
That's what's up. We're coming to the close of the show.
Beautiful.
I'm going to leave one last remark. Gail Baxter from Yonkers said, I will be voting on Tuesday and driving neighborhood seniors to the poll. And she said in capital letters, get out and vote everyone, please. And with that, I'll let that be our last words. You are listening to Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday 6 to 8 on intermixradio.com. You could be doing anything else. We decide to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate that. Make sure you tune in next week where we will have former police commissioner Clyde
Isley.
Yes, oh wow.
Former police commissioner of Mount Vernon Police Department and former deputy commissioner of Westchester County Department of Corrections, Mr. Clyde Isley, will be on the show. That's the first, right?
Yep, this next week. And I just want to say lastly, at the last minute, we got several questions. I'm sorry there was not time to get to some of them. I will definitely forward them to the councilman's office.
The congressman's
the
office.
Congressman. I said council. Sorry, congressman.
I don't want a motion.
The congressman's office. And also check out the July issue that will be out Friday.
A very strong issue, I may say myself.
Yes. That's definitely a very big investigative report that you all want to read.
Yes.
Again, now till Tuesday, end of day, if you take out an ad and pay for it electronically, you get a 20% discount between now and the Tuesday, end of day.
And let me just I just want to tell all my Republican friends to just come out and vote also on Tuesday. And
it's the Democratic primary.
Is there a Republican primary?
No, to make sure you tell your Democratic friends to come out and vote.
Because I'm independent. I can't vote either.
And I want to tell my people in Latino Empowerment that are watching the show and that watch to the show to please go out there and vote for Congressman Engel. As a Republican, that's what I really meant to say. As myself as a Republican, I'm crossing over party lines to support and endorse Congressman Engel and let my people know that to come out on Tuesday. That's what I meant by saying my Republican people. I meant my Democratic people that are out there and that always look for me for direction.
In closing, Gail, yes, Reggie Lafayette will be a guest speaker at the NAACP tomorrow. Meeting tomorrow at the Neppahan Community Center at 7 p.m. With that, we're out. Peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.